These are this afternoon's top stories. Guard of Honor for Governor General S.W. Tapley seating CVO QC JP. Caribbean politics shifting, says political scientist, and the scientists find ancient human relative. Good afternoon and welcome to ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Thursday, September 10th, 2015. I am J.D. Keynes. In national news, top government and legal officials, employees within the public and private sectors, members of the clergy, well-wishers and friends gathered at Government House this morning for a special ceremony known as a Guard of Honor for the country's Governor General Samuel Weymouth Tapley Seaton, CVO QC JP. A Guard of Honor is a ceremonial event practiced in the military and sports throughout the Commonwealth of Nations as a mark of respect. While Seaton was officially sworn in on September 2nd, this morning's ceremony, broadcast live on ZIZ radio and television and streamed via the World Wide Web, was held to include more members of the general public. The country's Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris, and his members of cabinet, including Nevis's Premier, the Honorable Vance Amory, were among the dignitaries present. So too were Her Ladyship Honorable Justice Marlene Carter, who administered the oaths of office and allegiance, members of the clergy, and the country's Deputy Governor General, His Honor Eustace John. The ceremony and venue, more specifically, was described by the honoree as a tropical paradise when he stepped to the podium to address the gathering. His remarks came after those by Prime Minister Harris, who used the opportunity to highlight some of Seaton's major accomplishments. The country's Energy Minister, the Honorable Ian Liburd, was pleased to highlight what he describes as the important role that the Petro-Carib Agreement plays in the development of St. Kitts and Nevis. His remarks came following his trip to Jamaica when he and Prime Minister Harris attended the 10th Summit of Petro-Carib. According to the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service, SKNIS, Minister Liburd hailed the model of Petro-Carib as an important one to Caribbean region, where the current arrangement sees up to 60% of the cost of oil purchased from Venezuela being deferred for up to 25 years at an interest rate of 1%. He said, quote, there are two major initiatives to ensure energy security. These include the establishment of Petro-Carib Economic Zone and a plan of action to eradicate hunger and alleviate poverty, end quote. The Energy Minister says it is important to ensure that St. Kitts and Nevis has energy security because, quote, every single citizen in the Federation should have access to affordable and reliable electricity, end quote. More than 30 young people are preparing to present projects to address issues in their respective communities, with a particular focus on engaging and promoting positive opportunities for at-risk youth. Our correspondent from the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service, Ian Richards, reports.
Ideas for a mock topic generated at a session on strategic planning, which is an important part of the Youth Service Training Project organized by the Department of Youth in St. Kitts. Sessions began on August 18 and are held twice weekly. The young people, most of whom are representing a community-based group, have covered several topics including needs assessment, situational analysis, project development, and others.
Progress so far has been good. I've been impressed by the young persons.
Pierre Liburd is a senior youth officer in the Department of Youth.
I'm pleased with the progress that they've been making, and I think the presenters are also pleased with the quality of participation, and I'm expecting great things to come out of it.
The participants were divided into 5 groups to deliver their project targeting at-risk youth. On Thursday, September 10, each group is expected to make a presentation on the project to the organizing team for funding of up to EC $1,000. Although their backgrounds are different, they are all locked into the specific goal.
Nigensia James. I'm 19 years of age and I represent the Bethel Moravian Youth Group. Youth leaders in our community is always good to give them more training. This forum kind of helps to shape the leader inside of us so that we could go on and help others.
My name is Maurice Franks. I'm 34 years old from Shadwell. The root cause of all these things, it starts from the upbringing, which is the home. The group that I'm in this session actually came up with a plan of action. So hopefully with further work we could actually bring it off the ground and present it.
My name is Petra Maxine. I'm 31, living at Keon. I have a women's group by the name of Woman to Woman to educate people, not only women, but men as well, about domestic abuse and discover ways in ending it. It's a very informative workshop, and because my group is fairly new, I can use the information I use from this workshop to go out and better manage my group.
As motivation to the participants, Peter Jenkins, who facilitated the strategic planning session, left a strong note of encouragement while reflecting on the impact of globalization.
You're not competing with yourselves anymore in cities and news. You are competing with the Chinese, the Japanese, those from Singapore, USA, Russians, and at all levels of our development, we have shown that we are as good or better. So don't underrate yourself by feeling because you come from a small country that you are small.
Senior Youth Officer Liberd is hoping that the young people will rise to the occasion once again as they continue to work together to build a stronger nation. I am Ian Richards of the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service reporting for ZIZ News.
Regionally, a political scientist in Barbados says the results of Trinidad and Tobago's general elections show a shift in Caribbean politics. Here's more in this Barbados Today news report.
Dr. Tennyson Joseph tells Barbados Today a trend has emerged during the last few years of one-term governments or the re-election of governments with weak majorities.
A general trend we're seeing in the Caribbean is towards the rejection of incumbent governments. And a number of explanations for that, but the main one being the kind of difficult economic situation in which our countries find themselves. And voters are electing parties into office with very high expectations. And very often those expectations are not met. And so the trend we've been seeing are basically towards one-term governments. There are very few of those, since around 2006, there are very few countries that have bucked the trend. Barbados being one of them. So most of the elections have been following from 2006 right down. You have one-term governments, or you have governments that are being elected on very, very narrow majorities. So Barbados is an example of a narrow majority. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a narrow majority. The only exception to that trend towards one-term governments and narrow majorities is the Dominica case.
And he says the phenomenon clearly shows disillusionment by the electorate with the incumbent government.
So what the voters do, they just vote one in, it disappoints and they vote it out. They vote one in, it disappoints and they vote it out. That is not in the past. Before the past elections, you had three-term governments, and then in a country like St. Lucia, you had the governance of one party for three to four terms. Trinidad for 3 to 4 terms, Antigua for 3 to 4 terms, and so forth. Barbados and Jamaica always had a kind of 2-term swing. But even the 2-term swing has come to an end, because when Africa got 3 terms and PJ Patterson got 4 terms, the trend was broken. But after that, roughly since 2006, you've been seeing, or let's say the early year, roughly around 2006, you have a pattern of what I call the rejection of incumbents in Caribbean German elections.
A youth ambassador's delegation from Taiwan is in St. Lucia on a special visit aimed at strengthening ties between the two countries. During their visit, the students paid a courtesy call on the Minister of Health, pledging support for programs geared at improving the well-being of ordinary St. Lucians.
Taiwan has conducted the International Youth Ambassadors Exchange Program since 2009. Efforts are underway to enhance the outcome of the program in 2015. Thus, the theme selected is Youth from Taiwan, Compassion for All. The youth representatives consist of 20 members, 16 of whom are college students. The visitors are overawed by the hospitality of St. Lucians.
We're very lucky to be here, and when I first got off the plane, we all felt very warm because the people here, they're very enthusiastic to us, and we all feel very lucky. And yesterday we went to the Pigeon Island, and it's very stunning, very, very stunning. And I saw the beach there, and all the people, they're very enjoy the music, and they look so happy.
The youth delegation also made a quick stop at the Ministry of Health. During the visit, they held a discussion with Health Minister Alvina Reynolds on health issues which plague the country. Reynolds gave the students an overview of the department's work, including assistance to senior citizens and the differently abled.
We are also responsible for the elderly in this country, and so we help to support homes for the elderly. We have a home for the elderly in the south, in Viewfort, and with elderly folks who live full-time. It's a residential place for elderly people, as well as we support homes or establishments where elderly folks come during the day to learn a skill, to interact, to socialize, as well as we are responsible for persons with disabilities. And there is a council for and with persons with disabilities that we support in terms of helping them get wheelchairs, getting them that kind of psychological support for them, and also the basic needs.
Reynolds also touched on men's health programs, stating that the ministry will be implementing a new program to help males manage their welfare.
We do have a problem with our men who may not access the health services in St. Lucia. We're trying very hard to see how we can bring the men before they get sick, or when they're sick, very early bring them in for diagnosis and for treatment. And so we have started implementing or starting men's clinics around the country at the health center, so men can come on a particular day, only men, to deal with their health issue, because we need the men to stay alive for very long.
The Youth Ambassadors delegation conducted a cultural performance at the National Cultural Center on Monday, September 7th.
Internationally, it was in a remote cave near Johannesburg that scientists found fuels that had surprisingly human-like features. They are calling this species Homo Naledi. The scientists say it is a discovery that could change our view of human evolution.
Descending into the Rising Star Cave, Professor Lee Berger puts a startling new discovery into perspective.
This is like opening up Tutankhamun's tomb.
Berger and his team of scientists say they've uncovered a new species of the human family tree. They call it Homo Naledi.
We thought we had it figured out. We thought we knew how human origins worked.
He says what they found deep underground will shake our understanding of human evolution.
There are miles of tunnels underground here, and sometimes it's the tightest of fits. They had to recruit what they called underground astronauts to get in and make the discoveries.
He had posted that he was looking for skinny scientists.
Like many others, Lindsay Hunter answered Berger's Facebook ad. The dangerous job mostly fell to scientists who were able to crawl through the narrow passages. What they found was extraordinary.
That's it.
A chamber of more than 1,500 fossilized bones, coming up with the controversial conclusion that this is a burial ground, and that Homo Naledi could have used fire to light the way.
We've just encountered another species that perhaps thought about its own mortality and went to great risk and effort to dispose of its dead in a deep, remote chamber right behind us.
Homo Naledi is not human, but at times comes close. The original fossils are a strange mosaic of ancient and surprisingly modern. A brain no bigger than an orange, but feet almost identical to ours.
And every one of these tells a story. Every one of them is a mystery to science.
And leaves many unanswered questions. They haven't been able to date the fossils yet, so Homo Naledi may have lived tens of thousands of years ago, or even millions. Perhaps the very key to unlocking the story of humankind. David Mackenzie, CNN, Rising Star Cave, South Africa.
In more international news, military helicopters have plucked residents from the top floors of their homes after raging floodwaters poured in and inundated a wide swath of a city north of Tokyo. As heavy rain pummeled Japan for a second straight day, the Kinugawa River broke through a flood berm on Thursday, sending a tsunami-like wall of water into Joso, northeast of Japan's capital.
A wall of water rushed into this part of eastern Japan, taking all in its way. Rescuers are overwhelmed with people needing help, especially in Joso City. They're signaling to the emergency services and military helicopters flying overhead for help. The Kinugawa River broke its banks after a second day of unusually heavy rain, overflowing across low-lying areas.
These heavy rains are unprecedented. We can say this is an abnormal situation and that there is imminent serious danger. Serious disasters such as landslides and flooding have occurred and are still happening.
The heavy rain comes after Tropical Storm Etau that crossed Japan on Wednesday. The government says it's doing all it can to help people.
The heavy rains are unprecedented and likely to continue. The government will prioritise people's lives and take every possible disaster measure.
As many as 5 million people may be affected by the downpours. Some people have made it to emergency shelters.
We've had heavy rain in the past, but we haven't seen this much water in decades.
Thousands of others are caught up in the floods and still need assistance. Caroline Malone, Al Jazeera.
Now taking a look at the weather. Today's temperatures will peak at 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, skies over St. Kitts and Nevis will be fair to partly cloudy. Tomorrow, expect partly sunny conditions with a slight chance of a brief late afternoon shower. Relatively stable atmospheric conditions will prevail over the Leeward Islands tonight and tomorrow. Sunset for today is expected at 6:17 p.m. and sunrise for tomorrow will be at 5:58 a.m. That brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I have been your presenter, JD Keynes. Have a great afternoon.